Hi pen fans, this is your personal pen maker, Brian at the Edison Pen Company, edisonpen.com. Hey, I'm happy to announce that we are now offering in-house made hardwood pen rests. I'll discuss a little bit about this, but when it comes to the manufacturing side of this, the second half of this video will be a behind the scenes look as to how we make these. But essentially they are carved on our router. We do hand sanding through various grits. We do the compound stage and then a wax finish stage, and then the final finish is this microcrystalline wax. So anyways, that's a summarization, but stay tuned because the second half of this video will show all those details. We've always wanted to offer pen rests that we could stand behind and be proud of, but we also never wanted to do that and source it from someplace overseas. So it only feels right to me to probably manufacture these in-house, and we've recently had this capability, and they're also fun to make. So I'm happy to be able to offer these now. As of now, these are available in local Ohio, Cherry and Walnut. Now in the future we may consider offering, we'll see how these go, and then maybe we can offer some more exotic hardwoods. I love cocobolo, I love Macassar ebony, and all those are possibilities. But that could be like maybe a special run for the future. We'll see. But for now, we have cherry and walnut. Let me show you, I have a 3D model and also some photos, and I'll show that to you now with a little bit of description about the design. All right, so probably the best way for me to show the features of this pen rest is to go to a 3D model. And this would be my 3D model of this pen rest, and I think that you can see that really there's no right angles at all. This top and bottom has a bit of a curvature to it. The sides obviously are not exactly right angles. And then originally when I designed this, I was not going to put this divot here in the center that you can see, but whenever we put a pen on it, it tended to roll back and forth, which wasn't that great. So this little divot in the center actually did a lot for us, and it kind of keeps everything centered, keeps the aesthetics of the overall look of the pen rest, and yet keeps the pen right in the center without having it move around a little bit. So I'm trying to give you an all over 3D tour here, and maybe even a little bit from the bottom side. So that's the overall design. Okay, so really it's all pretty straightforward here. Like I said, stay tuned as I'm about to show you a behind the scenes manufacturing video. We will be charging $25 each for these pen rests. If you're interested, you can, wherever you're watching this, I'll have a link in the description, or just head on over to edisonpen.com and we'll be happy to help. All right, if anybody has any questions, let me know. And here comes the manufacturing video. All right, here is our current stash of cherry and walnut, all rough sawn, and finding a couple of good pieces here that'll make some pen rests. Need to cut them down to size, and then we take them to a tool that is both a jointer and a planer. So right now it is in jointer mode, and we are creating one surface that is perfectly flat. Once we get that, then we put the flat surface down on the planer, and that gives us two surfaces that are flat, top and bottom. So from here we will create exactly the thickness that we need from this hardwood. And there we go, with a nice slab of cherry and a nice slab of walnut. And then this goes over to our router, setting the 0 with this method right here. And then it's time for rough carving. This is a ball nose bit, and we do all the rough cycle, so we're hogging away all of the material that needs to be kind of roughly taken away. And then this is the coolest cycle, which is the finish cycle. Now this is way, way, way sped up. This actually takes about 20 minutes of machine time per rest. So that's pretty fast compared to what happens in reality. And then we switch over to a straight bit that will cut each one of these rests out. When we do this, the cutout needs to have a couple of tabs. So each one will have 2 tabs. We'll cut all the way through so that each rest is ready to be removed. But then these 2 tabs on each side need to be cut out by hand. So I'm using a very sharp chisel to knock off that little spot. And there is a pen rest fresh off of the machining cycle. A hand plane does a really good job to get rid of that tab that I mentioned. And then we go through 4 grits of sandpaper, hand sanding. This is probably the most laborious part, is to get a really good finish on these before we get to the next stage. And this random orbital sander does a great job of flattening the back. Now it's time for a rough compound. This is a triple E compound that does a really good job of removing marks from sanding. And at this point, it's a very dull finish, but then we use a Carnauba or Carnauba. Anybody can correct me on this. I've always said Carnauba my entire life, but I think it might be Carnauba. Anyways, that gives it a very protective finish with that Carnauba wax. And then we apply a microcrystalline wax, not so much for protection, but it just gives it such a great feel once that is buffed off. Then it is time to get these into our laser and apply a very small and subtle maker's mark to the back. So we put our logo on the back of these pen rests, a spot where they won't be seen universally, and it kind of leaves the subtlety that we would prefer. Doesn't scream an advertisement, but you still know that it's an Edison product. And there are the finished pen rests. If anybody has any questions about this, please let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching.